Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is Friday, January the 23rd. Another absolutely fantastic day in the markets. We had AMD all-time highs. We had MU absolutely awesome trade above your previous day highs for continuation towards upside. Really fantastic way to end off the week. I couldn't have asked for anything better to kind of start off this month, to start off this year. Let's break down exactly what my trade thesis was coming into today here. Of course, I will have a full in-depth breakdown for you guys on the weekend, going over all the trades I took this week, this month, and kind of my overall thought process along with my TradeZilla statistics. But for a quick overview, as you can see right here, for Friday, I ended up making $35,000 today. This was made up of MU. I actually took a loss on AMD on a day trade, but I also had some AMD trailers from Wednesday. If you guys watched my trade recap yesterday, I talked about I wanting to hold some AMD. I had 10 contracts looking for, of course, all-time highs on AMD, which we got. Those contracts went from $3 all the way to 21, which is absolutely crazy. Really ended off the week with $83,000, which is actually crazy to say. And on the month, I'm up $136,000. So absolutely fantastic month this far. So let's get right into exactly what I traded today. Number one trade that I had was on MU. As you can see, I traded the 400 calls and I'm making $29,000 on this one. As you can see, entered in perfectly on the reclaim of our previous day highs for that nice continuation towards upside, scaled along the ways. And as you can see, contracts went from $3 a contract all the way to a high of 13. So 330 to 13, around a 3 to 400% move on the options contracts, but absolutely fantastic way to end off the week. These are my executions as you can see here. And then let's go on to the AMD. Let's kind of explain the thought process here on this one. So I ended up taking some AMD calls on Wednesday. I realized some trailers. So I ended up making $35,000 on Wednesday. I held only 10 contracts, and the 10 contracts was less than 10% of my total position, but I ended up making over $15,000 on these trailer positions, even though I had less than 10%. So I basically made $15,000, which is equivalent to around like 30% of my total P&L with less than 10% of my position size. So you can see the power of options. And of course, as I mentioned, these contracts went from $3 a contract to when we bought it on Wednesday. And I sold my remaining contracts at a high of 21. I sold majority up into this all-time highs level. And then I sold some as it came back down. And then, of course, I ended up taking an AMD day trade. This was a mistake today. I was sized in lighter, but even this was a pretty big loss just because of it already hitting your all-time highs. And the contracts, I actually lost a lot more than I wanted to. It was only willing to risk around like $5,000, but I actually almost doubled my loss that I was willing to risk just because of the 0 days. Plus, we had a lot bigger candle than I would have liked it to. So let's go on to number one, the MU trade. As I mentioned, this was fantastic. This was right off that pre-market game plan. Let's first talk about exactly what I was looking for coming into market open. So as you can see right here, let me just clear off a bunch of things. Let me go back onto the pre-market. So as you can see right here, coming to market open, MU still very much bullish. We're making higher highs, right, higher lows in the markets, and we're continuing to push towards upside. So key level coming to today, of course, is going to be that previous day highs, previous day high for continuation towards upside. Fairly basic. For the QQQ, as you can see right here, the QQQ coming to market open, I was fairly neutral. I was leaning a little bit more towards the upside just because the higher time frames bullish, of course, just based off of the news event that we had, Trump going back on the tariffs, higher time frame now flipping back bullish. I'd like to see kind of continuation. Key level on the QQQ here was our 620.50. So we needed to see the reclaim back above for continuation higher. For SPY, key level here was at 688, needed to reclaim back above this for continuation. Underneath this, potentially you could have seen your previous day lows along with that pre-market low that we had. So this was the game plan coming to market open. As for AMD, what do we have coming into AMD? The main thesis, as I mentioned, was a potential push up and towards that all-time highs. As you can see here on the daily time frame, I talked about this yesterday. If you go back and watch a trade recap, what is my next main objective? 264 all-time highs is in play here. So coming into market open on AMD, we already had relative strength compared to the markets. You can see QQQ was essentially opening up in between its previous day's range compared to AMD, which was well above your previous day highs. So the key objective was right above your pre-market high. We can see a potential push up in towards that 266, which is your all-time high. So right off the bat, as you can see here on AMD, really solid pop within that first candle. Second candle right at all-time highs, exactly where you want to be taking profits. Took off 8 contracts here on AMD, and then as it came back down, I still had 2, and I just cut the remaining 2 on AMD right here. So that was the first trade, and then the second trade was this retest once again. Looking back on it, right, the best retest, of course, would have been this pre-market high for a potential push up back up in towards, of course, our high of day and above. But the reason why I didn't like this trade was because of right? The fact that we already hit your all-time highs, we kind of broke structure towards the downside. Now on this reclaim, I don't like it as much since we already hit one of your main objectives, being that 266 plus that 5-minute range you can see is fairly wide. So for AMD, I was looking for still continuation towards upside just because it still had relative strength. And I decided to enter in some of the 265 calls right here. I had a little bit of a wider stop down in towards that 262. And as you can see, I ended up taking a loss a lot larger than I would have liked it to. I lost about 2x what I wanted to originally. And that kind of put me, well, I'll kind of talk about the thought process here. But I opened up the day, I was up around like 15K, took this trade, ended up losing like 10 grand, and then I ended up taking that MU trade. But for AMD, I entered in here. Ended up stopping out actually at the bottom. Right, this was a very big wick, and it actually ended up holding and still building up those higher lows. But unfortunately, ended up cutting at the bottom. But that's sometimes how trading works. And then let's go into the MU one. So MU. Higher time frame still very much intact. As you can see right here, one of our theses coming into market open here on MU was looking for the break and retest above your previous day highs. So coming to market open, we actually had 2 key levels, previous day highs. We also had your 394. We want to see the break above, continuation towards upside, potential retest off your 394 for this continuation higher here as well. So this was the game plan coming to market open. As for MU, just was not able to close above your previous day highs. I was looking for the reclaim right off the bat. So this was my reclaim that I wanted to see right off the bat. Ultimately was not able to close above. Came back down, still was building these higher lows. And then as soon as it reclaimed the second time, and as you can see for the QQQ at the exact same time, the Qs is now starting to show some strength. So as price is continuing higher, you can see at this exact same time now MU is starting to show a lot more strength. And then as soon as it closed on this candle right here, closed above this 954, as you can see with a strong candle close, right? We have this candle close here. Now we have a candle close one more time. If you go back here, you can see we have that 5-minute candle closure here as well. So that was our key signature and price for continuation. Next candle came back down for that immediate retest. Buyer stepped in immediately. This is where I went in long. Stopped just a break below, and now I'm looking for continuation towards the upside, right? Took some off on that first pop, but ultimately MU was very bullish. I was going to give it a little bit more room just because now the QQQ is starting to flip bullish here as well if you can get back above that 620. So I gave MU quite a bit of room here. I wanted to hold some trailers, or sorry, I wanted to hold my initial position for looking for continuation just because why? Higher time frame, very much bullish. It has relative strength on the day. There's a very good chance we have MU continuation. And as soon as we got above your high of day, not a single down close candle, every single down close candle was respected, and we had a solid push up and towards that 410, which was a key Fibonacci level. It was also a key psych level here as well. And as I mentioned, contracts went absolutely crazy. Let me show you guys my executions once again. As you can see, entered in on the flip of this candle right here, which was that 954 candle, and just rode up the momentum towards upside. Contracts went from 330 to like $13 a con, which is absolutely fantastic. Beautiful trade on MU. Couldn't have asked for anything better as well. And yeah, let's just go on to the live session that we have for today. So coming into market open, I'm going to mute this right here. As you can see, just kind of speeding up the tape here. We talked about AMD wanting to go to that all-time highs key level. You can see within that first really 1 minute, super solid pop here on AMD, right up and towards that all-time highs. That's where I look to take profits. That's where the premiums are moving up nicely. Right off the bat, you want to scale into strength. And as you can see, touched our basically touched our all-time highs perfectly. Absolutely beautiful scales right into that all-time highs key level. And then as we speed it up here, now I was looking for that AMD, kind of this reclaim here on AMD. As I mentioned, I ended up taking here off this 236 during this exact moment, right? I like the AMD, kind of higher lows are being built off your pre-market highs. Qs looks good for potential reclaim here. AMD, if it does want to push back up and towards high of day, it can. But as I mentioned, I already hit your main objective, which I don't like it as much. I was sized down on this trade in specific, but I actually ended up losing more money than I was willing to. I was only risking $5,000. End up losing around 11,000 just because of the risk amount playing 0-day contracts. So I lost more than I would have wanted to, which was unfortunate, but that's sometimes how trading works, especially if you're trading 0-day contracts. But as I speed up the tape here, you can see on the right-hand side, Qs is right here. MU is about to reclaim. I talked about this a couple times. Actually, earlier I was looking for the MU reclaim. I was actually looking at both trades at this exact moment in time. Before I took the AMD trade, I was looking at MU reclaim, and I was also looking at AMD for a potential move higher. So I took the AMD trade. That one unfortunately didn't work out, but then the MU set back up. So the MU set back up. And as you can see right here, during this exact moment, we finally get that 5-minute candle closure. We're now getting that immediate retest. We have the QQQ starting to flip here as well. AMD is also holding support. Let's kind of speed up the tape. And as you can see right there on MU, as this candle was flipping back bullish, you can see 5-minute candle close. That's when we're very interested. You can see immediate retested that previous day highs and buyers stepped in. Exactly where I got in was on this candle, as I mentioned. Now looking for this continuation back towards the upside. As you can see right here, I took a little bit off on that first pop up and towards initially into that high of day. But then, of course, I was holding majority of my position looking for continuation. Maybe just speed it up. Or I guess we'll just kind of speed it up here. AMD, as I mentioned, I cut below your 261, but it actually ended up being a larger wick, which is unfortunate. But as I speed up the tape, you can see MU absolutely beautiful, and QQQ above your 621 for continuation. MU fantastic, just kind of scaled along the ways. Drew up Fibonacci's, maintained above your key order block levels in this 404, and then Qs end up popping back up and towards high of day, and MU, right, fantastic trade up into this 411. So I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Hopefully you guys enjoy these trade recaps, of course. I've been on an absolutely fantastic green streak. I've been trading very well. Don't expect this to be the normal, right? I'm showing you guys. I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, oh, he's only posting his wins. Right now, I've been trading very well, so I've only been winning. I post my losses once I get some because I eventually will have some losses, that's for sure. But I've been trading absolutely fantastic, just kind of pushing the needle and really striking when the iron's hot, right? Whenever you trade well, markets are plenty of opportunity, right? Sizing has been nice. When there's a lot of volatility, right, you got to strike when the iron's hot. So I've been trading very well. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these series, and of course you guys, right, following along the process, right? Absolutely beautiful way to start off. Really 2026, cannot complain whatsoever. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy that. I do have a YouTube video coming out this weekend on Sunday, explaining the location, right? Basically price action concepts, the 3 price action concepts that I use on a day-to-day basis. One of the best videos that I've made in a very long time. So make sure you watch that video on Sunday. That's going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I promise you guys are going to find a lot of value in that video. It took me a long time to make. And yeah, that's about it. I'll have a trade recap tomorrow breaking down my week. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys all next week. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend. Peace.